Good evening. This show is dedicated to the recent events that took place over the summer of 2014 at the Market Basket, a regional supermarket chain. Market Basket gained national and international attention when the balance of power in the board of directors changed, which precipitated the ousting of its CEO, Arthur T. DeMoulis, its longtime CEO. The reaction of the people working for Market Basket was, to say the least, remarkable and unprecedented. Here's an early statement from November 2013, a post on We Are Market Basket's blog that talks about how they feel and felt about Arthur T. DeMoulis. We have so many reasons to be thankful for being associated with the company Market Basket and the man Arthur T. DeMoulis. In a corporate world filled with cold-blooded executives, we work with a man who knows us, cares for us, and has shown time and time again that he will fight for every single one of us. He treats us like we are part of his family, and in a very real sense, we are. This company is more than a business to him. It's a part of his soul. We who shop there, work there, or sell there share a special bond, a passion for this company unlike any company we know of. And that passion was called up upon this summer. When Arthur T. was ousted as CEO, the company went out and protested in front of every store, and customers supported them by not buying. So tonight, we have three members of the Market Basket family here with us to talk about this remarkable work stoppage boycott movement. I don't know exactly what to call it. And they are John Garin, front-end manager of the Burlington Market Basket, Scott Patnaud, meat manager, Burlington Market Basket, and Peter Morris, merchandiser, Burlington Market Basket. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. Well, we just want to kind of jump into it and find out more about your experience with this whole phenomenon. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves, how long you've worked there, why you've stayed as long as you have, and what the situation was that precipitated this through your experience. John?
All right. Well, I've been with the company 15 years, and I stay with the company because it's a family-run business. They treat us like family. We are family. My family all works for the company. My father's worked for the company 49 years. My brother has 23 years in. My fiance works for the company. It goes on and on throughout my family, and there's several families like ours that all work for Market Basket, and we would never really think of working anywhere else. It's a great company to work for. They take excellent care of all their employees, and we're just grateful to be a part of it.
I've got a little over 30 years in. I started,
You don't look that old.
Well, I feel it some days. I started at 15, like most people. I went through high school. I went to a full-time. And from my experiences throughout the early part of the company, I realized it was a good place to work. They took care of people. They care about us. Make a good living. Never, up till last year, never really thought about not having this job. Make a career out of it. And most people that go there, they last quite a while. 30, 40 years is average.
Wow. Peter?
Me, I have 28 years with the company. I have three brothers and a sister that work for the company. I had a brother who was a manager that passed away that worked for the company, and like John said, it's all about family. And they treat you as family, and everybody all together. It's amazing. It's a great company to work for.
Wow. I'm sure it is. It's not been in my experience ever professionally to be able to say those kinds of things. I don't know about the rest of our panel, but I don't know. Why don't we just start talking about it? So what happened? And let's have at it. And gentlemen, if you have questions, let's just talk.
Scott, you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, this This started well over a year ago. Last June is when the change in power of the board of directors came about. The employees found out middle of July about it. They planned on firing Arthur T. We had a rally July 18th at the Wyndham in Andover. You know, 4,000 people lined the roads. So it was amazing. You know, it was 95, 96 degrees out. I was there with my wife, my 2 kids. Everybody, you know, family was there. We were there for 14 hours. You know, we got there at 6 in the morning. You know, some people didn't leave till 11 o'clock at night till the board meeting was over. You know, they originally intended on firing him that day, but I think once they saw what they drove down the road into, they didn't think it was quite a wise idea.
Because that was where the board meeting was
Right.
happening, I see.
And
And this was the first foray.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that started last July, and you know, it's been a long road. It's just come out to the public, you know, in the last 6 or 8 weeks. But for us that work there, you know, we've been dealing with it for a while, and you know,
So this has been fomenting for a while, and you knew, and you were watching what was happening.
yeah.
So you knew from July of last year, but like July of this year is when we the consumers found
Yeah.
out about it.
Yeah, it didn't get much publicity. I mean, honestly, you know, it's a private company, and I think a lot of people it's a supermarket to them. You know, I think once we shut down, they realized it's a little bit different than that.
Right.
I don't think that people, I think that people, you know, who understood it was a private company, myself included, if it's a private company, the consumer doesn't have any power. You know, it's just, you know, it's a private company, so whatever happens is, you know, it's privately held, so that's where the power lies. We had no idea the power of you.
Actually, I think you have it wrong there. I
Okay.
think the consumer has all the power, especially if you're at Market Basket.
Okay.
The consumer drives our business. They really do. And if it weren't for the consumer, we would have fell flat on our face pretty early on throughout this whole thing. And you know, it was on us to stand up when we knew something was wrong and to be vocal about it. But I mean, they could have got rid of all the troublemakers and all the loudmouths, but they can't get rid of the customer. We need the customer. The consumer always is right. You know, that's business 101. You know, the customer's always right.
But I will say to you, you're right. You're absolutely right. But the consumer showed its power because you led the way. I don't think if there were no boycotts and if there were no protests and if people weren't standing out in front of the store making their case known, that the consumer would have given you the kind of support, because they didn't know that they didn't you know, they weren't as organized, they weren't as involved, they weren't as invested as you. And because you had your act together, you really did, and the information was coming out daily, and there was a lot of publicity, the consumer understood your plight, and that's why the power of the consumer helped.
Yeah.
Yeah. The consumer is a bunch of individuals. I mean, as far as I know, is my wife and I, you know, we were the consumers, and we really didn't have any insight into what was going on behind it. And when you guys took a stand, and we got to know, then we said absolutely, we're going to back these guys. We're not going to back these people. You know, men, women. We're all in. Just a quick aside. My daughter just came back. She spent a weekend. She was in Reno, and it was a big story in Reno. And they were organizing groups to take bus trips to Tewksbury to help protest.
Wow.
And
Wow.
fortunately,
Wow.
you guys,
Wow.
came back. So, it's not a Massachusetts, and it's not Easton, Massachusetts. It's national.
It was international. It was on the BBC.
Yep.
I mean, that's what actually it reminded me as a consumer sitting at home and thinking about and watching this happen. It reminded me of we have an Indian poet, actually. He was advising his family, just what you brought up, the family. He was trying to advise the family that anything is possible. And anything, if you put your mind to it in such a way that he has written it in a couplet that it says that angel Gabriel came to me in the morning to tell me, was advising the family that anything is possible if you raise your consciousness to a level, to such a level, high level, that even God will come down to you to ask, what is your opinion? So you kind of proved that in using this strategy of, in a way, a Gandhian strategy of non-cooperation, but you had a lot of stuff, of stake actually. We were just consumers, as you pointed out, but you had a lot on stake. But you proved that anything is possible, and given a strategy and follow through, more power to you. We really sitting back and watching this come to fruition. How happy we were as consumers! You can't believe that. I can't even express that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the practical things that I noticed very early on was you stopped stocking the shelves. I assume that meant that the receiving department stopped operating, or was it a strike, or how did that work?
You know, actually, what it was we kept stocking the shelves and we kept doing our jobs in the store. It was that we weren't getting any fresh deliveries. We weren't getting any fresh product.
Okay.
Our warehouse workers, who are our front line, they went on strike. They were the first ones to really stick their necks out, and they stuck them out the farthest. They said that they weren't going back to work until RDT was put back in place, and so they went on strike. And as soon as they went on strike, our business was immediately impacted. You know, they didn't go in one Friday. This was 3 days before the boycott. And that weekend, we immediately started feeling the effects. Even before the boycott started, our produce department was running out because we rely on several deliveries a day to keep our store full. I mean, the volume it's remarkable. So we were feeling the effects right away. And so it made it easier for us in the stores to do what we had to do. You know, it's the food wasn't there. It's not that we weren't stocking. It's not that we weren't refusing, that we were refusing loads or not receiving. It was that the product wasn't there to sell.
Were the contracts of the producers renewed now, or?
Oh yeah, all our vendors are back. You know, they never said that they were going to stop doing business with Market Basket. They said that they were doing it with the regime in place at the time. And the very first day that we were back open for business, every single Market Basket got a direct delivery from the fish vendors, which was one of the first things that ran out. And one of the major distributors were the ones that came publicly and said, hey, you know, look at what these people are doing. They're overpaying us. They have no idea what they're doing. We're not doing business with them anymore. And they were actually the distributor that delivered to the Burlington store that very first day. They came directly to us, gave us a fresh delivery so we could get back in business. Our vendors have always been hugely supportive of us.
Wow. That's so amazing.
So it kind of went like a wave. Once you started, you stuck together, everybody else followed then.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Aminand makes a very good point. How you you believed in something bigger than yourself. You believe in something bigger than yourself. This is almost like a religion. Well, maybe not, but a credo. I mean, it's everything. It's very big. How did you? Peter, how did you? Do your family feel this way about it too? When you decided to go out on boycott, did they support understanding what was at stake?
My family, yes, they supported me 100%. The only thing that got me real worried is when we had to lay off our part-timers and I had to lay off my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter. She was hurt. She never thought working for a supermarket that she would get laid off. Like Scott said earlier, I've been with the company 28 years working for a supermarket. I never thought this would happen. I never thought I would have to worry about my job, supporting my kids, supporting my family. I've been here 14 years old, started out as a bagger, I moved my way up. It's hard work, but it's a family, and we're all there for one another.
I know that because you've been brought up that way, and you've grown up that way. you may not appreciate the remarkableness of it, but it is remarkable. And you made that family presence real when you had to stand up for Arthur T. And that's why the customers supported you, because they saw how this movement was so solid and so cohesive that it's remarkable. And it was right, but it was just remarkable. Absolutely
And
remarkable.
because there's so much sacrifice involved
Yes,
on the part
yes.
of the employees, and that's why I said you have so much on stake. And
Yes.
if we were just consumers, we're inconvenienced, as we say. But even then, the customers stayed back because we said no, we don't want to go there, and that helped. But major contribution is from the employees who
totally
stuck their neck out actually.
Yeah, the people that work at the office, the warehouse, they definitely get all the credit for getting this thing going. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. They started it, but after a while, the customers, they're smart, they're intelligent people. They realize in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to be a good company if it goes the way that the other
That's
side
right.
wanted it to go.
That's right.
And the customers definitely took over. We started it, but the customers definitely took over, and it really just drove it home. It really did.
So were the people in the warehouse also really organized, and did they know they were going to do this if Arthur T was ousted?
Yeah, I mean they.
Was this like something that they had planned? If this would happen, then that's what they would do. Kind of to start the ball rolling, or was this? Did this actually just kind of snowball and happen?
Well, there was a letter sent to the board of directors from the office people and the warehouse people stating that on, I don't even know the exact date now, on this date, we're going to have a work stoppage. We want Arthur T. DeMoulas. We have one demand back. We want Arthur T. back as CEO. That's all we want. Nobody asked for more money, better benefits. We want the old boss we had back, and, they gave him a date, and if it doesn't happen by then, we're not going to work anymore. And that day came, and that was a Thursday, and Friday nobody went to work, and it started, and they just stuck it out for week after week after week.
Were these guys unionized, or was
No.
this very informal?
No union at all. Never been, never will be. It's just a grassroots, word of mouth.
And no interest
Stick
in
together.
unions.
I have been curious about this. That has this the other party they stuck out, and was it more out of malice or more out of greed that they wanted to do the thing the way they did it? Just let people, they hired people and all that, and they thought everything was going to work. Was it more out of malice or out of greed or combination of all
It
that?
could have been a combination. I don't know. I can't say.
It,
Do
to me,
I-
it looked like it was greed, because the handwriting was on the wall. As soon as Arthur T was gone, prices would go up by 15%. I don't know if that's the percent they'd go up. I'm just saying that.
Right. Well, they were definitely going to raise
and
prices.
They were going to raise prices. They were going to cut back on benefits. They were going to start running it like a real company instead of this giveaway.
More money for the shareholders and less
yeah.
for the
Yeah, and
customer and
they-
less for the employees.
and that's the I don't know if it's Harvard Business, but that's the Harvard Business philosophy. The philosophy is people are the most important thing next to the chairs.
Yeah.
Next to the furniture.
The things you just mentioned, these are all the things that were going on the last year that the public doesn't know about. As Scott mentioned, it was last June that the power in the boardroom changed hands. And when we first got a whiff of it and heard that they wanted to fire RDT, that's when we began to mobilize. But there was no strategy. There was, hey, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do. There was a Facebook page. And there was Scott in the store going, hey, did you see this on Facebook? Oh, no, let me check now. Oh, hey, did you see this? And, next thing you knew, someone was putting up there, hey, we need someone to pick up signs to bring to the board meeting. And you know, and I was off that day. I said, hey, I'll grab the signs. And you know, I went to the first, we had a mini rally. And then later that week we had the huge one in Andover that got a little bit of media coverage. And then they didn't fire him, and everything went dark on the media side. But you know, we had felt a huge victory. Artie came out like he was, you know, the world champion. We hoisted him up on our shoulders. It was 10 o'clock at night. We had all been there 14 hours, like Scott said. And, you know, we felt like we had won, but we knew that it was just the beginning of the battle. And throughout the next year, we were all walking around with just this hanging over our heads. And we were very concerned about them cutting the benefits. You know, we get incredible benefits in Market Basket. Great health insurance, great bonuses. You know, job security was always, you know, always at the top of the list when you talk about Market Basket. It's a company you can work for the rest of your life. No matter, I started on my 14th birthday, Scott 15, Peter 14. You know, you can be with this company forever. And just every month it was, what's the board meeting? What are the boards doing now? You know, are they changing our profit sharing plan? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? When are they going to try and fire Artie again? Because we knew it was coming. You know, so it's just this was all going on. And then when they actually fired Artie, again, it's not like we had this plan, all right, we're going to stop going to work. No, it was, now what? We're all looking to each other, and we all talked about it. And we, you know, we were getting information from that same blog you referenced.
Yeah, the
And
We Are Market Basket blog was excellent.
Yeah, but we were all just playing it by ear. We were all just, and the nice thing about our company being a family of 25,000 associates is everyone has such different ideas, and when we talk and get together, you can make incredible things happen. And that's really how all this worked.
So did you get most of your information from like the Facebook page?
Between Facebook page and just talking to my coworkers, you know, that's really.
And how did the stores communicate with each other, or did they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many stores these guys have worked in. I've worked in 6 different stores. I'm sure that they've both worked in more.
Yeah,
So our family extends beyond our
Oh,
store.
that's right.
You know, we have friends in all these different places. We work with vendors who service all different stores, and you know, we all know quite a few people who work in this company.
It doesn't take long to get from Biddeford, Maine down to Bourne, you know.
Yeah.
You know, in an hour you can get it out there. It's, you know,
And also with the social media now.
right.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
a
Out
text
there.
message here, spread the word, or you know, check this out. And
Amazing, amazing.
I'm going to ask a question for a friend of mine in New York who is in the media and is very excited about the opportunity to ask questions of you. And what she wanted to know was the corporate culture that generates this feeling of family. What are the kinds of things that you do?
Good point.
And if possible, if you could contrast them to other unnamed supermarket chains that's different, that gives this feeling. Because from her viewpoint, that's what Harvard Business School is going to be talking about. That corporate culture matters.
Well, for one thing that we do that a lot of companies don't is we do hire 14 and 15-year-olds, and it starts with the kids, and we train them the way we were trained, and we value them as much as we value any other person. You know, Artie, when he won, he came out and said that, you know, whether you're a grocery supervisor working in the main office or a 14-year-old bagger, you're just as important to this company. Every single person is valued. It's all about people. He says it all the time. He says, we're in the people business, we just happen to sell groceries. That's Arthur T. DeMoulis right there. He cares about people. He cares about the employees. He cares about the customers. You know, the money comes secondary. He believes if we take care of the people will take care of us, and the business will follow.
Is that an interesting thing about that is that similar to Ben and Jerry's model, similar to what Ben and Jerry's had actually? I don't know whether it's the same thing now.
I don't know. I don't know much about Ben and Jerry's. I know Market
Yeah,
Basket.
same.
That's the thing, you know.
You know,
'cause
I know one thing,
They've been
Market
here.
Basket.
You haven't
know,
been there, so it's hard
You
to
know,
know.
it's a company where you get promoted from within. You can start at 15 years old and you have unlimited potential. You know, there's no job that you couldn't work your way and strive for. You know.
But yeah, that's a unique culture, I would say, because most of the companies you work because you have something to contribute, and then once that is over, you're out. But here it looks like that you have a pathway that you enter, and then you are encouraged to, you are trained, you are encouraged to do something else, and as you mature, you go somewhere else and maybe fit in some other slot.
Yeah, there's all different, different. You could get a kid that was a bagger, and he's going to a vocational school for electrical. He works for one of our companies doing that, or refrigeration, or in the main office, an IT person. I mean, the potential, it's unlimited. What at 15 and
you see-
16, your path could be right in front of you.
But that perspective that Arthur fosters, apparently forever, is, I'm hiring you because I see, because I want you as a person in my company, not because you have a function that you fulfill and, and it costs us this much. And I mean, that is what is remarkable. And as I'm not sure whether it was Omanand or Bob said, but that is what is different in, for American corporate culture, that it's created a new factor when you're buying or IPOing or selling a company. What is the corporate culture, and are they strong? Is it strong? And it's creating a kind of a new factor that just wasn't there before, and it's a good and true one, and it's a very hopeful one that gives me hope for America's corporate side, and that's new, very new.
Actually, it's old. It's a throwback. When I
Well,
was
all
growing
right,
up in
you
the
gotta
50s, major corporations, you started at GM doing God knows what, and you retired from GM, maybe doing the same job, maybe doing a different job, but you were there 40 years. And your kids went to work and did similar things. It's not true today. In my
But
job,
it is.
Well, yeah. I mean,
For us, it is. Other
For us, it
companies,
is.
But
they,
it is.
I've got friends that are outside. They 5 years with this company,
Yeah,
4 years,
yeah.
right.
3 years. Out of work for a year, 3 years
That's
here.
right.
When I was a programmer, the average length of stay for a programmer, this is back in the 60s and 70s, was 6 months. Now, admittedly, it was a occupation in demand, and it was 6 months because you got a 10% raise at
okay.
your next job. But that same moving from place to place seems to be the standard now.
But there is also a difference actually, because the throwback what you said, there is a difference. I think that in this market basket culture, what I see is there is a scope to grow, and the environment of the work environment is not a sweatshop environment where you could grow as well. But here it's an entirely different culture where you have opportunities to grow, and you have a healthy environment to work in, and bonuses and everything else provided. So that's much better environment than the old time stuff.
I think there's a difference also. This is a closely held corporation with very few stockholders, and most larger corporations, they're constantly being monitored by earnings per share and how much they can return to their stockholders, because their stock will go up. These are public corporations I'm talking about, and they're much more interested in the stock, in giving money to the stockholders than they are giving money to the employees and taking care of employees. Now they'll always say that, as I said before, that our employees are the most important thing we have next to the chairs, and the furniture. But no, seriously, I think Market Basket had that closely held corporation advantage, where it really wasn't beholding to 15,000 other stockholders or 1 million other stockholders to give them, $1.50 per share. No, they were giving considerable amounts to the 9 stockholders that they had, and and they got very wealthy, and fine, good luck to them.
Yep.
If they get wealthy and you guys did fine, that's good. But and the other advantage is they couldn't. Being a grocery store, you couldn't send the manufacturing overseas because the customers are here.
Right.
And so that also helps. But I guess there are other grocery store chains that they are indeed beholden to their stockholders, and they do as well as they can, but they really can't compete with Market Basket.
Yeah, I think they're out to make as much money as they can for their shareholders.
That's
what happens.
that's the
And
job
that's
of the board of
right.
directors.
And they do what they do, and we do what we do. Our CEO, he's obviously, everybody needs to make money, but he doesn't need to make it all. He's very generous to us, and even with the customers,
Just
the 4% off this year. That's
when I saw that, I thought, uh-oh, there's going to be big changes next year, and that's what. But that's not. I don't know that now, but I thought so because of what I'd heard briefly about the changes in the board, and then this came up, and I thought, what does that mean for? Is it a swan song?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it was just giving back to the customers. Loyalty. He takes care of the customers. Low prices. He could raise 10 cents and nobody would know, and it's just more money for him. But him and his family aren't about that.
Something else that always puzzled me. I was in the store. I admit I was in the store twice over the summer, frantically trying to buy things that I couldn't get anywhere else and needed to save money. But I brought my slips and anyway, in the store, in the Burlington store, in the office, there was a sign that said boycott Market Basket. How was that possible?
Well, it wasn't looked upon favorably from the folks who were sitting in the main office at the time. But that's just how strongly we felt about it, and there was nobody there to tell us to take them down. And at one point, we did finally get an email telling us to take them down, so we added some more. But but that's just what this got to, And once the customers were behind us, we knew there was no stopping us. I mean, there were certainly plenty of scary moments, but when we first took to the sidewalks and started telling people, hey, this is what's going on, we need your help, don't shop here. The customer response was unbelievable. I mean, our business in the Burlington store was down 95%. 95%. That's insane.
I mean, we all stayed
Yeah,
back.
we
and
did.
We
We
didn't
did.
go.
And we will be forever grateful for that. We knew that we have the most loyal customers around. We know that. They come in, they talk to us every single day. They know us by name. We know several of them by name. And we know that they support us. But we did not think 95%. We were thinking, hey, we're gonna kill business 30% here because all our true loyalists, they're not gonna come. And then when we started seeing it, we're like, oh my God, like nobody is coming. This store is a ghost town.
4 or 5 cars in the parking lot, and 2 of those are people bringing in water or donuts to the
Yeah.
people outside. The support was unbelievable.
Yeah.
My daughter works at the store in Lowell, and they're bringing popsicles, they're bringing ice cream, they're bringing pizza. To all the kids outside. It's just
And they were going to a different store to buy it.
They would show us the bags. Look, I bought this here, just so you know, I didn't buy it in the
talking
Market
to
Basket.
a couple people I know at Pinehurst, and they were telling me about it. While we're talking about corporate culture, et cetera, there were a couple of rumors around. I heard, for example, that when the stock market pummeled in 2008, that Arthur T. transferred money from corporate to the pension funds and make sure that everybody was whole.
yeah.
Is that? I mean, this would give some indication to people who are not in the company if that were true, that,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is
This was one of the things that
putting your money where your mouth is.
yeah, and this is one of the things that ultimately got him in trouble with the board, which is why they wanted him out, because he was clearly not putting the shareholders first. He was putting the employees first. We have an incredible profit sharing plan at Market Basket. We contribute nothing, and they contribute to us every single year. Even part-time employees get it. If they've been with us over a year and they work, I don't even know how many hours a week it
1,000
is.
hours.
If they work 1,000 hours over the course of the year, which really
20 hours a week.
isn't much, 20 hours a week,
Oh, wow.
any part-time person over 18 can get profit sharing. And when the stock market crashed, the money's invested for our benefit, and the plan lost $46 million, and Artie, that was unacceptable to him. he was heartbroken, really, that their company had lost our money, even though it was not money we ever put into it. It was something that they generously gave to us. But he said, you know what, I'm not going to allow this. I'm going to make you guys whole, and then we'll figure out the $46 million afterwards. Well, that didn't fly with the board. And that was one of the things. And then, Scott already mentioned the 4%. That was another one. That was another tipping point. They're waving our flyer in the
I mean,
courtroom,
how
saying
rich
how
do these-
irresponsible is this guy to give back to the customers.
Right, they're
And
taking
how
our
rich
money
do they
away.
want to be? I mean, really. I mean, we're talking about people who are working for a living, and these people are very, very wealthy. Would they feel it even?
Nope.
I mean,
No.
that's what
No.
I think. That's what got the customers. They understood your plight, and it was so clearly just greedy. Awful.
What was interesting that during all this whole saga, that you had an evolving strategy to how to counter everything as it was evolving, but at the same time I was wondering all the time, how come the governor did not get involved early on? That kind of has bothered me all the time, that here is a corporation which has 25,000 employees and whole lot of Massachusetts employment at stake. Why couldn't the governor get involved? Is it corporate? Is it something that prohibits him by law, or is it?
Well, I mean,
Well,
I-
does he have?
Or he didn't
Well-
want to get involved?
how it came out, and I think my opinion is he only got involved because what came out is his wife is a partner at Ropes and Gray, who was a law firm who represented Arthur S. Demoulas.
Oh,
So, I don't think he really wanted to get involved, but once this came out, and he had to say something and do something.
And for that matter, why didn't Elizabeth Warren get involved? I mean, she's supposed to be the senator for the people. I didn't
Yeah.
see her.
Yeah,
No.
it's an excellent question. When we were really about a week before the boycott in the Burlington store, we started brainstorming. Hey, what can we do to help? How can the Burlington store help? And like I said, this was just people throwing ideas off the wall. And what we ended up coming up with was we decided to hand a pamphlet out to the customers, and we typed up a pamphlet informing the customers as much as we could possibly fit into a one-page folded-in-half pamphlet. And we put a lot of stuff in there. I talked to several other managers. We talked to other people who work in the store, because we wanted it to be a pamphlet from the whole store. Let people know, because we didn't know how to get help. We really didn't. And we put in there, please contact your local politicians, contact the media, contact anyone, because we weren't getting the attention we wanted. And we sent this pamphlet to Elizabeth Warren, Deval Patrick, and countless others. And eventually, some of the state legislators, they are the ones who drew up the boycott. And they were some of the ones that did receive our pamphlet. And yeah, I heard nothing from Elizabeth Warren until it was almost resolved, and I got an email 3 weeks later just saying that she knows it's being worked on to come to a quick resolution. And who knows what their motives truly are, but you would think with the attention it got and the clear support we had, that this was an easy win to get behind for any of these guys that chose to get involved. Even if we didn't win, they would still look like someone, pioneering for people. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was thinking, that it would look good on their overall scheme of things.
Right.
So
You would
no
think.
lose. No,
Yeah.
It's a win-win,
It's
I
a
mean,
win-win either way.
Right.
It would have been a win-win for a politician, but I don't know, they stayed back and let it play.
I think it possibly could have been a loss, because the board of directors, they had the authority to dismiss him They did it legally. They had the authority. It was wrong to do, but they had that authority, and it was unlikely, very unlikely, that you guys would be successful. I mean,
The odds were against us, that's for sure.
you know, really,
Yeah.
it's staggering that you were successful, and everyone in the country is talking
Yeah.
about it.
Speaking of that, you said you had some scary moments. I'd like to find out what your scary moments were. Anybody?
Well, the day we were told that we couldn't schedule our part-time help anymore,
Okay.
that was one. That was when, okay, this is getting even more real than we thought. We're actually starting to affect people. You know, where it counts. You know, people, our part-time associates are the ones who probably need it more than anyone else.
Because everybody was still on payroll. They were still working
Right.
through
Exactly.
this whole thing.
So,
for most of it anyway,
other than the
up
main
until-
office and the warehouse, the main
Yeah,
office and the
yeah,
warehouse,
right.
you know, we knew they were there. But yeah, I mean, these people who I had one of my assistants. She was trying to save up money to pay for her second semester of college, and buy books, and she's not sure if she's going to have to transfer colleges because she was trying to work in the finances, and all of a sudden I had to tell her, hey, I'm sorry, you don't have any hours next week, and it started with her, and you know, she's a tough kid, but even her, she teared up a little bit, and that's when I started like really just getting sick to my stomach, and that was scary, and we were like, well, you know, this is out in the media now, they're going to look like villains, this has got to end, and it didn't. It went on for 3 more weeks after that. So it just.
How did you cope with that? You know, was it each other that kind of gave each other strength? I mean, because that's the tough part. I mean, it's the coping.
Yeah,
It's
it was
the waiting.
It was a long 6 weeks, you know. You know, just going to work every day and nothing happening. You're not hearing anything. You're not knowing what's going on. You know, it's just stressful. When it was resolved, the words can't describe the relief. You know, my wife, my kids have been supporting me, and all the market basket. You know, we were dealing with this for 14 months. It was just very stressful, I guess.
Did you hear from? I'm blanking on the names of the co-CEOs on a regular basis. Were they
No.
were they a presence, or were they only in the?
No, they didn't have much to do with us. We didn't have much to do with them, and they were put into a bad situation. They didn't help us at all, but they're not our focus. You know, it's.
Because the social media that came out painted them in a particular light. Now, that may not have been the case because suddenly they were thrown into a situation that they were hired for, but didn't bring on. But they were painted as villains.
They have a specialty of what they were brought in on. You know, Felicia Thornton was at Albertsons, and you know, they liquidated that company. Jim Gooch was at Radio Shack, and
Yes.
he shut down a couple hundred of them.
Yeah.
You know, I think they were brought in to liquidate the real estate and try to, they thought we were just going to go away. They were going to do what they were going to do, and that would be the end of it.
And they tried to intimidate us. You know, they fired 8 of our top guys by courier on a Sunday night at their homes, and I think they thought that would be the end of it, and it just was gas on the fire.
Why didn't that have an effect? I mean, when
Yeah.
top guys, your ultimate bosses, are gone and they're replaced by people who, whether they believe it or not, have to perform according to the board, and yet nothing changed in the stores. If anything, I saw more Arthur T signs in the stores than before.
Well, that's just it. I mean, it was they tried to cut off the head of our family. You know, that was it. You don't. If it was any of your families, you wouldn't sit there and let them do it. And that's how every single one of us felt, no matter what our position was no, that's not what's going to happen. You're not going to come out here, get rid of these guys who have given their entire lives to this company, made it what it is today, and expect us to be like, okay, we better fall in line. No, that's not how Market Basket works.
It was complete opposite. It only made things better for us and worse for them. Unfortunately, they got fired, and it was terrible what happened. But all it did was make our cause stronger. You know, more resolved to keep going. Not going to let them come in here, push us around. It's not going to happen.
In fact, that's kind of unique that
Yeah.
in a corporate culture that all the employees will stick together as a family, and so that tells you that Arthur T. must have sown the seeds of that family culture within this corporation for years,
And
so
you
that
know,
it has held the family together, no matter what.
and you know what it is too. These guys that they fired, these aren't guys who graduated from business schools and came in here and made our company what it was today. These are guys that started on their 14th, 15th, 16th birthdays. I'm not sure if any of them have a college degree. I know for a fact most of them only have high school degrees, and they have worked for the company 40 plus years, and they are now the heads of our company, and that's how Market Basket is. These guys all came up. They all started as baggers. Every single one of those guys started as baggers, and they worked their way up side by side with all of us, you know, or our fathers or our bosses or whoever. And that's why we all respect these guys so much. They know what it is that we do. And that's what we tell them.
They are the company.
They are. They are Market Basket. We are Market Basket. You guys are Market Basket if you shop with
As
us. You know?
customers, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I
Anyone,
do.
anyone who supports us is Market Basket, and that's what we tell these kids when they start with us too, or even people that I hire today. Listen, you come in with this company, there's no limit to what you can do. Okay, it doesn't matter your background, your education, anything else. You come in here, you work hard, you will advance.
And you can say that with confidence because of the way the corporate culture has been built
So-
over the years,
I mean,
not
this is-
yesterday.
Right, this is since, you know, the company's almost 100 years
Yeah.
old. You know, in the 50s is when they got things going. You know, this philosophy was started by Arthur's father. You know, and it's lasted over 50 years, so, you know, he's doing something right. You know, it's
And you know, you are the people who were fired. I mean, you know, you identify with them. They are part of it. Now I'm getting it. But that's an amazing set of seeds to sow. Just amazing. So, did Arthur communicate with you during the strike at all? Were you
No.
able to talk to him? What was that about?
Not a word.
nobody
No.
heard anything.
He couldn't
He
legally.
couldn't.
Right.
He couldn't legally.
But,
Okay.
you know,
all right.
we were told he's fighting for us. He's doing everything he can. And for me, and I'm sure these guys and everybody else, okay, if that's what he's doing, I don't need to hear from him every day. I don't need an update every week from him. If he says that's what he's doing, I trust him.
All right, and I got to talk about this We Are Market Basket blog because as I've said to you privately, this blog is the most articulate, most well-informed, most savvy blog I have ever read, and it provided you, along with the Facebook and the Twitter, a minute by minute, or at least a day by day update that was really smart. And I understand from you that you don't know who was writing it. That to me is amazing that they had such insight into the company and understood what was going on and were able. And I turned to it to know what was going on every day. And it was great because I got my fix of news of what's happening, and of course it was a little biased because it was for the people, but that's okay. It gave me a perspective on happenings inside the boardroom and in the company.
Yeah, we really don't know
Yeah, I
the
believe
actual
you.
author. You know, I'm under the impression it's actually a few different guys, and
With
well,
PhDs in grocery.
that's exactly right. It's the only PhD they have. I'll tell you that much. But for any one of us reading that, we know that they're part of our family. When we read those words, we know, okay, that's one of our people talking. We don't need to know who the actual person is. We know that that's
And they were
one of
talking
us.
to you.
They
Yeah.
and they were talking to us, and that's again that it all goes back to family. We didn't have to know the person because it doesn't matter who that person is. He's just as valuable as the bagger. It's how the company is. We know they're with us. We knew that they were giving us reliable information, and that's what we needed, you know.
So the board does what it does. It finally agrees to sell the company to Arthur T. Arthur T. gets up in front of you all in Tewksbury. How is that? Talk about that.
Were you there?
I was not there. I was at the store.
What?
No,
we wouldn't have all fit.
Yeah, we would get, people were back. I mean, this happened Wednesday night. Thursday, the stores were a noticeable difference, Friday, and by Saturday, it was, wow, where did all these people come from?
Really?
Yeah, it was, and they didn't care
Even though there wasn't any food.
they didn't care, how much was there. They wanted to get back in.
Yeah.
They wanted to, know that it was still what it was.
Yeah.
Let me tell you where they came from, because I was doing minimal shoppings, $50, $75 a week instead of my typical $175, and I was living off my the canned goods we had and
Spaghetti and whatever else is in there.
Well, I just the things I had multiples of were decreasing and decreasing, and when you finally came back, then I was finally able to really stock up, and it's been a while to try to get back to where I was before, but that's why, because people weren't just taking those shopping dollars and shopping someplace else. They were, in my case, I was shopping someplace else, but it was only like half as much.
Right, it's what you needed to eat for those
Right.
next 2 days, not
That's
to
right.
fill up
And,
the cabinets.
Personally, it was very frustrating because I have become accustomed to a number of the Market Basket brand items, and I was really irritated not being able to buy them.
You just reminded me of something. I too very much shop the way you did in other stores like the
Don't say the name.
all right, okay, another store, and I used to get, and I took a look at some of the prices, and I would get verbally, loudly upset, and I would be very angry. And I found that I had conversations in the aisles with people who were clearly Market Basket shoppers who were experiencing the same thing.
Yeah, if you've only shopped at Market Basket your whole life and you walk into another place and whether you need it or not, you're refusing to pay that price. I am not paying.
That's right.
It's $1.25 more. I am not paying it. I'll go without it. It's, people that have shopped both, it might not be so bad. But if you're a Market Basket from the start, I am not paying.
It's also not only just the price. I mean, my family, we also didn't shop anywhere else. Actually, practically zero. But it's not only price, but also the variety you get from, as you pointed out, you get kind of acclimatized to the Market Basket brand, and then you are kind of lost if it is Market Basket is not working. So essentially, I have the same story, in fact.
Yeah.
So once the store opened, next thing you know, we are in there, and that's how customers walk back in.
Yeah, and I think that you get used to certain brands that, even if it isn't Market Basket, but you get used to certain brands that Market Basket provides, which is a broad range of wonderful things, and then you go somewhere else and you find it to be so much more expensive, and you're angry, you're frustrated, and you appreciate what you lost very much. Well, I think overall we've learned a lot about what this was about, but what I learned most tonight was it really drove home the idea of the family, of what Market Basket family is all about. And I am so impressed. I am so moved by it, and I find it remarkable and unusual and unprecedented and hopeful for American business that maybe this can carry over somewhere else. I would love to see that, and I would love to see some business cases made of this and elevate the value of corporate culture to where you've put it. Do you guys have anything else that you'd like to say?
The 2 or 3 people who are actually watching the show.
No,
Peter?
No, thanks for all your support, and come on in and see us.
I do twice a week, without fail.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we definitely want to just welcome everyone back. We're excited to be back, and we're doing the best we can to get back to that level of service that we've always provided. And, just more good things to come. You know, we have several stores getting ready to open. We're hiring for them. We're accepting applications for the place down in Waltham that's
Yeah, no.
going to open
Where
before
is
the
that
end of
going
this
to
year.
be? Where is that one going to be?
It's right off the highway. You can't miss it. It's where the old Polaroid building was.
Oh,
And
oh,
you'll
I
see there's
saw a
a
truck
giant
place.
sign that says
Okay.
"Thank you" on the side
Right.
of it right now.
Oh, okay, all right.
So you know, it's more good things to come, and you know, we're not going to change. So
Yeah, so now you're kind of moving south a bit because you've
we're
been
moving
north.
wherever we can go.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You know, I've never seen you like south of Burlington, and so now you're in Waltham, which is great, and
Yep.
you're gonna be right on the highway. That's excellent.
Yep.
But in fact, I'll never forget the time I've been shopping at Market Basket. God, more than 30 years. I mean, a long
It
time.
used to we just called them movers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
was the rules.
Yes.
I
but-
still call it that.
Well, no, well, anyway, but I've been shopping there a long time, and I didn't realize how broad you were in terms of, you know, of the availability of it all, and how many places you were. And so when I would go to a different community and I'd see a Market Basket, I'd be so happy. I'd feel home. I felt like home, and that is the truth, as a shopper.
Okay, number one, welcome back.
Thank you.
We
You too.
really appreciate it, and hopefully you understand how we're representing your customer base, and we appreciate your being there. Unfortunately, we have some other business we have to do. About 2 weeks ago, we lost one of the founding members of this panel, going back 9 years. He'd been literally part of the founding when it was a fun idea we had at a party that we do something like this. And Mike Bova, the gentleman who we're talking about, he was a jovial, fun guy, enjoyed things, and he also had the capability of, when we would get carried away, which you haven't seen tonight, but if you ever watch our show, you'll realize what I'm talking about, of bringing us back down to earth. He'd ask a question, would make us remember what it was we were sitting around supposedly talking about. He was a great friend, and these old farts, this show will miss him a great deal. So, thank you, and thank you all.
Wing. So did we solve our problem yet?
No, I think we're
75
we've
bucks a month.
found ourselves, the protections that we're asking for have a cost. They cost in taxes, they cost in regulation, in complicating